afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Matthews and Megan. My name is Laura Katari, and I'm going to start today with a story rather than numbers and figures. I started with the roundtable 4 years ago this winter. I joined what was already a formidable and diverse group of individuals living in poverty. We eagerly, sometimes even frustratingly, pursued, participated, and informed the work of the Commissioners for Social Assistance Reform. There was passion and there was hope. Our work group, in conjunction with others in the community, carefully crafted poverty reduction strategy recommendations. We attended provincially led consultations. Time and time again, we asked to be heard, to be seen, to be acknowledged, and to acknowledge the diversity and complexity that poverty is today. I now chair this work group, and last September, I presented the new poverty reduction strategy. What happened was something I thought I'd never see: blank faces and silence. It breaks my heart, because in that void was more than disappointment. It was the loss of hope. It hurts, as you can tell. It hurts. It more than hurts. It makes me angry. My friends and I, so desperate for change, marginally acknowledged to ignored in the plan. The parents of children who forgo their own food to feed their children, low-income workers, the aged, the newcomers, to those Indigenous peoples, and the disabled in general, with seen or unseen disabilities, who will never be well enough to participate in society exactly like the rest of you. If we can't aspire to live exactly like you, if we don't face the same challenges in life as you, we seem to have no place at your table. Dignity, opportunity, and futures, that's our guiding structure. Dignity above all else, accepting us, working towards our goals, not yours. We are your citizens too. Affording dignity is not a kindness. It is a basic human right, because treating others with dignity defines our basic humanity. There is no dignity in being unseen or unheard, nor in being a difficult budget line left till later, because we are not a quick group. We matter now. Please forgive us perhaps a bit of contempt for the unending rhetoric comparing social assistance to minimum wage, when both are wholly inadequate, neither passing the poverty line. And since only 1 in 5 qualify for EI, those unemployed will cycle through the provincial assistance system more often. The lower their rates, the less likely to bounce back quickly or at all. Our frustration at the healthcare system that serves no one if the prescriptions that are written cannot be filled. Provincially led universal healthcare coverage, inclusive of dental, drug, and vision care for all low-income individuals, ensures that all Ontarians remain in good health and have the means to deal with medical crisis, because the reality is most Ontarians have no private health coverage. And a side note, yesterday I was asked by a Canada Without Poverty board member who decided teeth were not part of our bodies and not part of health. Furthermore, we ask in the implementation of OW and ODSP reforms, you consider who are you serving? To be frank, administrative exercises and cost savings are not poverty reduction measures. Social assistance reform that does not empower all individuals to move forward, in other words, not just the easy cases, will not get you the measurable results you seek. Please, please stop developing policies that do not reflect the realities we, the most vulnerable among you. Be brave and bold. Have the adult conversation about taxes to generate the revenue you need to fund social assistance adequately. Afford the least of us dignity in order to look forward, to grasp opportunities, and better all our futures. Thank you.
Okay, Minister, I'm only going to ask you one question. Inclusionary zoning, private members bill is now past second reading. What is your take on the bill as minister?
Well, I think inclusionary zoning is not a new idea. In fact, it's an old idea. If it's to see the light of day, it will, in all likelihood, be part of the package that my ministry will present when we go through a number of the reviews that we're currently conducting, Joey. So, private members' bills are private members' bills. There's a lot in Mr. Milligan's bill. That causes some people concern. Other people like parts of what's in there. So we'll be looking at it. We're doing a review quite separate. It involves engagement with AMO and municipalities and a whole lot of other people, not just the concerns from one municipality. So I'm pleased to know that all of the mayor candidates in the last Hamilton civic election said that they were favorably inclined towards some movement on the inclusionary zoning front. And I'm looking at it very carefully and very seriously.
What's the timeline for your review?
We'll probably be heavy into it in the spring of 2015, where, as you may know, we're doing a four-prong review of the Niagara Escarpment Commission, the Greater Toronto Hamilton Growth Plan, the Green Belt, and the Oak Ridges Moraine, all of those together. So that will be an interministerial approach, obviously, because natural resources and housing and a whole lot of ministries' environment touch on that. And again, that's going to be happening in late spring 2015, along with OMB review and a lot of things going on.
So when could we see inclusionary zoning if it's passed?
Sorry?
When could we see inclusionary zoning if it does become part of this review?
Well, it would have to be part of legislation, which could be part of an omnibus piece of legislation or maybe several distinct separate pieces. But I think 2015 is what we're aiming for.
Thank you, Minister.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the ultimate question is the deficit. Are you actually able to do anything with the deficit as it is right now?
So we are working to eliminate the deficit, and we have a commitment to do that by 2017-18. But we're not going to do it on the backs of people who rely on government for services and for support. So it's we have to do both. We have a moral obligation. We have a responsibility to future generations.
And in terms of specific to Hamilton, Hamilton City Council is paying for benefits that the provincial government cut approximately 2 years ago. The council's passed a resolution asking the province to pick up those benefits again. Is the province considering that?
So, we need all levels of government working together, and I'm delighted that Hamilton makes it a priority. The province is doing everything we can, and we're adding in a lot more flexibility so that municipalities are getting a lot more ability to actually address the root causes of homelessness, for example, and they're able to develop local solutions to those problems. And Hamilton, as I said earlier, is a real leader on this front.
But again, the question was about downloading. The property taxpayers in Hamilton told politicians during the municipal election they can't afford to pick up provincial cuts. Is there more coming, or are you looking at reversing some of the cuts?
So you'll know that we have uploaded enormously from the municipal sector. We've uploaded ODSP, we've uploaded the bulk of Ontario Works, we've uploaded a number of very expensive programs from the city, and so we're doing our part, more than our part.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Renee Wetzler. I'm a senior social planner with the Social Planning Research Council of Hamilton. My question is for Minister McMeekin, and my question is, how does your government plan on increasing the number of affordable housing units in Hamilton?
Well, that's a good question. I hope I can come up with a reasonably good answer. I'll give it my best. I'm on my way back after this session to meet with a association of apartment owners who have expressed some interest in and have in some ways been leading the way on the issue of victims of domestic violence, where this consortium of apartment folk provide rent guaranteed income to any woman who's been subject to violence for a year and a transitional period. So I intend to go with the private sector people. I intend to go and applaud that initiative and to encourage them to do more of that. Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with 60 folks from across the province, private sector, public sector, non-profit sector, co-ops, and others, to look at their ideas around creating entrepreneurial, creative options. There are many. We're looking at a number of things. I've been on a building bridges tour across Ontario. I visited 62 municipal councils and about 30 different housing groups. And it's been very instructive to me. You may know, if you follow the political scene, that mandate letters have been produced and distributed. Ms. Matthews has a very demanding mandate letter, as do I. The Premier has asked us both to work together to eradicate homelessness.
Let's be respectful, please, folks.
That is respectful. People are dying on the street and children. Do you want to be more respectful than that?
Let's try to be respectful.
Yeah, that is respectful.
So Howard,
change it now. Stop housing
Please.
and poverty
trying to
from
answer your
happening.
question. There are a number of things that I think we can do. Everything from giving some consideration to inclusive zoning, to secondary suites, to the old CMHC limited dividend building concept. To Minister Matthews and I spoke last week about infrastructure being more than just roads and bridges and hospitals and schools. It should involve some components of social housing, and she and I are committed to working towards that and doing a number of other things. I wrote my master's thesis 4 years ago on how to do social housing better. It's too bad not too many people read it.
Not that I can't see.
And so, Howard, I'll just end my comments there, other than to say that Minister Matthews and I have agreed, if we can get it through Treasury Board, and we very well might, because she's the president of the Treasury Board, to co-chair a special committee on the homelessness front. We're getting some criticism from our colleagues for taking that on, but we both feel it's important for the two cabinet ministers with the primary role to do that, to show just how dead serious we are about it. Hope that's helpful.
Councillor Summers, and welcome Ted, Deb to Hamilton. What I would like to see, we take action, because I've been a community activist for the last 30 years, and what I see happening now, things are getting worse. I recently attended a rally on Friday at Queen's Park in Toronto in solidarity towards healthcare. And when I heard the cutbacks, I was devastated. I have a 19-year-old, and I leery where my son's education will be. So what we need is to create jobs for our youths, and we have enough talk. I would like to see action being done in this community. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can both speak to this.
Hi, my name is Sandy Leyland. I'm a longtime member of the Roundtable. I'm part of Speak Now. I'm on disability, and I'm facing homelessness for the third time in my adult life, because my rates give me $465 a month to find housing. You can't even get a toilet in this city for $465 a month. I want to know how fast the rates can go up to at least reflect what housing really is worth in this city and throughout this province.
Sandy, I'm going to, that's a specific question, so I'm going to ask somebody to address it.
So you'll know that, the whole issue of adequacy of social assistance rates is something that we hear a lot about. We've made some pretty important changes of late. One of the recommendations from the Commission was to really focus on singles on OW. They said an immediate $100 a rate, $1 a month increase. We couldn't do that, but we're now up $50 a month for that particular group of people. We've increased the Ontario Child Benefit was something that I will go to my grave being very, very proud of. But that doesn't impact people who don't have kids under age 18, but it's making a real difference in the lives of those with kids under 18. We have changed the earnings exemptions, and we heard about how important it is to have earnings exemptions that actually create an incentive to earn some income. And we've made some good progress on that front, but it's evident today we've got a lot more work ahead of us, and that's what Ted and I are here for.
My name is Jane Cardinal. 4 years ago, I was speaking at an international conference on healthcare in Belgium. Now I'm earning $250 a month. I have 2 theses, seldom read. You have to pay to get them, actually. I gladly disseminate them for nothing. I have spent over 20 years, I don't want to age myself too much, but I'm at that age where I'm unlikely to get a job. Age-wise, but also health-wise. So back to the $250 a month. What I've learned and didn't need to learn is everything I did in my 2 theses. My concentration, of course, was on health. It was the gaps in health. It was patient-centered care in health. And so I'm learning lots of lessons in the social assistance system. I am writing a book. I doubt if anyone will really read that book. The question is, what I learned in health is the silos that exist. What I'm learning in social assistance is those silos that exist. I have a friend that's about to be homeless. She has 2 days to find an apartment to live in. She was cut off Ontario Works because she didn't submit an employment statement. That was 4 months ago. This is the silo that doesn't talk to the other silo. Where is the affordable apartments? The question was the silos listening and understanding to each other. She's homeless because she didn't submit an employment statement and was cut off. No discussion. No discussion of why. I spent 6 years in the UK getting a higher degree. I don't qualify for CPP because they don't recognize my UK experience. These are the gaps in the system, and that's my question about the silos that create gaps. And when are you going to attend to the silos? Because you're creating homelessness.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Minister, if you want to speak to any aspect of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind actually.
Okay.
You know, thanks. You raised a really, really important issue, and I can tell you when I was Minister of Health, one of the things that we started to do, and we're really just starting, is through something called Health Links, and I'm not sure if we've got a community health link in Hamilton. Yeah, yes we do. So the idea with Health Links, and they are just starting, but they're showing fantastic results already, is they identify the individuals, one at a time, who are heavy users of our healthcare system. People who, in London, we had somebody visiting the emergency department 270 times in 1 year, often by ambulance. He clearly needed some help. He actually got housed through the Housing First program. The year after he got housed, he was in the emergency department twice. So, that's by providing the right supports, and we heard about the importance of not just the bricks and mortar of housing, but the supports that go with it, that holistic wraparound care. That's the future. We can't afford anymore. We can't afford anymore just to have programs and then have individuals trying to navigate the programs. We have to figure out what the needs are of people and wrap our programs around to meet the needs of the people. It's the right thing to do for people. It is the most cost-effective way to deliver care.
Somebody in one of the presentations said support equals success. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was Minister of Community Social Services, I had a chance to visit, like I'm doing with the current portfolio, met a lot of parents of developmentally challenged kids. It became a big issue. It's important to tell stories. It was through that storytelling that we were, and by working interministerially, we had a group come back that I put in place to speak to me, came back and they issued a report, let's end the wait. And the chair said, Minister, we know your heart's in the right place, but you're not the Minister of Housing. Funny how that works. Anyhow, we put an interministerial group together to look at how we could invest $810 million up from 42 mil. The only way we were able to do that was because we had a chance to hear the stories and share them with our caucus colleagues.
David?
Yeah, can you hear me? My name is David. I'm afraid I've had a bad habit of attacking Mr. McMeekin in the past. I'm sure you remember.
Don't do that.
I did speak about a year ago about somebody named Joe who had to go straight from chemotherapy to his night job at Tim Hortons. And if that story hasn't inspired action, I don't know what will. If you see someone living on $600 a month and you do nothing, what will make you do something? If you see someone making $11 an hour and you do nothing about it, supporting a family perhaps, and you do nothing about it, what will make you do something? So my question is, Mr. McMeekin, again, I'm picking on you, sorry. I understand you were a pastor once. My question is, what would Jesus say about your failure to act on these files? And not just you personally, but your government.
Well, you're asking me a theological question, and I'm reasonably comfortable with that. He would say, you've heard it said, but I tell you this, it's important to love one another and treat each other as you want to be treated. I think that's a very, very good philosophy. He also talks about clothing the naked, helping the sick, healing the sick, visiting those that are in prison, and making straight the path of God, whatever that means, Jeff, I'm not sure. But those are all admonitions that I think some of us on a good day get up and try to live with. That having been said, you know, I think we need to be very intentional about engaging churches and synagogues and various faiths in this discussion, because I'm convinced if every pastor and every priest and every rabbi and every imam could convince their flock that this was the single most important issue facing us in Ontario, get done a hell of a lot quicker.
I'm Dave Stevens. In the room we've heard a lot of people who work, they can't really afford, they're called the working poor. In Ontario, the government can pass a legislation, and okay, they've been known to raise the minimum wage, but the question is, why haven't they made minimum wage a living wage? Or at least a little bit more than a living wage?
You know, this is an issue that we've given a whole lot of thought to minimum wage, I'll be honest with you. When we were elected 10 years ago, it was $6.85 an hour. It's now $11, and we're indexing it to inflation. So it's not like we've ignored the issue. We've almost doubled minimum wage, or not quite doubled it, but $6.85 to $11 an hour. When we analyze who earns minimum wage, a lot of people on minimum wage are actually students. And so we actually think there are better ways to improve the incomes of people who are working. I'm getting heckled here from the cheap seats. So there are ways to increase income through our tax system, through things like the Ontario Child Benefit and other benefits that actually are more targeted to increase the income of people without lifting minimum wage for people who are not, you know, trying to support themselves and a family on it.
Hello, I'd like to address my question to Minister Matthews, because you're now responsible for this department. I've been in the system long enough to know that people on ODSP are worse off under the Liberals than they have been previously. And the specific question I have is, I spoke to your colleague when Ted McMeekin was the minister and a year ago and didn't get a favorable response. My concern is about disability cuts that are hidden, that we can't easily fight, and again, they're too numerous to list, but they are the special income and the community startup. But the specific concern I have is that I've started 2 businesses while I've been on disability. I got a $5,000 grant the first time. When I started a second one a couple of years later, I only got $500, and that is what your government decided was legitimate, and the poor are discriminated against. We can't get bank loans or credit cards, so that's obviously not helpful. And I also found when I did my review, that I've worked contract a number of years professionally in theatre, and my accountant always said, this is what Stats Canada said, or RevCan says you can claim this benefit or expenses. And disability has different rules, so that means that my vehicle insurance, which I need for 2 of the jobs I have, as well as the parking that I have to pay in my building, is not included as a legitimate business expense through the ODSP system, but it is under RevCan. So what exactly can you do to fix that problem? Because if you start a business on ODSP, you're worse off before you even start the business.
So I'm not going to get into the individual case because there's just a lot of information I don't have there. But what I can tell you is the whole idea of self-employment is something that we're really focusing some attention on, because a lot of people who are on OW or on ODSP could start their own business. There's a strong entrepreneurial spirit.
$500.
So it's what I'm telling you is a challenge that we're very much aware of, and we see that it's the way out for a lot of people. I don't know how many of you, if you're familiar with RISE. Have you got RISE here? RISE is an amazing program. It's a partnership with mental health and the schools of business. So I bet if it's not in Hamilton, it's coming soon, where people who've had mental health challenges actually, and an idea to start a business, can start that business, get the support they need, and there are some wonderful success stories coming out of that. But that's just one example of many where people with, whether it's a disability or whatever, have got huge potential to, and great ideas and a very strong work ethic. So I appreciate your comment on that.
Please, folks, be as brief as you can.
Well, I certainly will try. My name is Emmy Wise, and my honorable friend Ted knows that I can't be very brief, but I'll try. Yes. I appreciate the stories I heard today, and I thought it was very courageous. But there's one group which didn't even come to be talked about, because we lock them away, we don't see them, we don't hear them. And that group is the elderly. Now, everybody will say the elderly will get a good income, but sometimes they help their children out or whatever. And then when that elderly person is not very well and the housing is not so stable, they end up in hospital. Then the hospital dumps them in a nursing home. Well, we don't look how we can make that person, again, independent and dignified. And that's one thing we shouldn't forget when we talk about poverty. Thank you.
Well, I'll handle the income side. Our government has believed for some considerable time that we need to enhance pensions when people retire. Currently, right now, when people retire, 71% of them have no pension and 43% of them still have a mortgage. Maximum CPP layout is, I think, $1,250. We've been after the federal government, nice to have them as a partner, by the way, to get involved. Every province in the country, save Alberta, has asked for this to happen, and it hasn't happened. So we're moving ahead with an Ontario-based pension supplement plan that will roughly double that, because if we don't do that, that's the next poverty tsunami.
Just very quickly, where did you go? There you are, okay. So you're absolutely right. We need to keep people home as long as we possibly can, and if they're ready to leave hospital, go home. They might need a little bit by way of support at home, but it's going to be a lot higher quality of life for them, a lot less expensive for government if we support people in their homes, and that's a big initiative for us.
Will you shovel their sidewalks so they don't have to back down? I mean, that's a good
Come on, please, question.
As a taxpayer, it doesn't seem like much of my taxes are being paid and helping these people. I'm a carpenter by trade. I've been retired 20 years. I remember when Harris government, we were going to build all kinds of affordable housing. And I remember when they shut it down on us. Are you going to help these people have affordable housing? Also, for the man that came up from McMaster University, I stayed on a committee, an apprenticeship committee, for 5 years. There was many young people that wanted a trade, and they couldn't get a trade unless their fathers owned the company, their uncles owned the company if they had friends in the company that knew them and could hire them. We could hold it on the committee as being a committee member, but it took a lot of time. I complained to Bette Stevenson back then, who was the Ministry of Colleges and Universities. And I'd like to still know, what are you doing with my money?
We're going to do the very best we can on social housing. That's why we're meeting with a number of people who want to come to the table, including private sector folk. We're working very, very hard on that. You know, we've invested, we'll invest over the next 5 years, $800 million directly, and then I think it's $293 million a year through the chipping program. That needs to increase. The quickest way to increase that is to get the feds on side as a full partner.
Welcome to Hamilton, Ministers. My question would be directed to Ms. Mathis. My name is Stephen Gilbo. I'm a disabled queer person and is educated in a separate Roman Catholic school board. The single most effective part of my education, probably at 12 years old in grade 7, was when the teacher, instructor, said the only way we're going to eliminate poverty in the third world, or any world, is if our ladies, our young girls, are actually educated properly. That scared me a lot. As a gay person, I cannot rely on a man to pay my way. So I became independent as soon as I possibly could. My question would be, what are we doing in our school system to teach young people, not just queer persons, but people, but all children, how to budget properly and how to be self-respecting and not ever relying on another person for your individual?
Yeah, I love your spirit, I have to say. So we actually have recently introduced financial literacy into our schools. So kids in our school system are getting a much better education. It breaks my heart when I go to Frosh Week at Western in London, and I see all sorts of advertising and free giveaways for credit cards. You know, you sign up for a credit card and you get some fantastic gift. That is, you know, that's not good for those kids to feel like they've got this unlimited magic credit card. So that financial literacy is being taught in the schools now, but there are still way too many people who need to better understand things like using check cashing services. I think my first private member's bill was on check cashing services, and we've made some good progress on that front, but the financial literacy piece is huge.
Okay, thank you. We have 2 more questions. We're going to squeeze them in. The ministers will make a couple of quick comments, and we're going to close with a song. Okay? Go ahead, please, and be brief.
Okay, I've been listening. Okay, I'm on OW. Okay, have been for a year. I come in here, and I hear low income being $40,000. ODSP makes roughly $12,000. Try living on $250 a month, which will come up to roughly $3,000. Tell me, where on your scheme of things do I fit in? Do I hit the poverty line, or where do I sit in?
I think the researchers were the ones who do that $40,000 line, right? Okay, sure. You know, I can't speak for the researcher. He's the one who drew that $40,000 a year line. It's not the poverty line that we use, but I think your point is.
Obviously.
Yeah, I think your point is you're really struggling.
We're not even on the scale of my point.
I hear you.
We don't make the page, let alone the scale. When is the government going to be intelligent enough to see that maybe we should get a little bit of an increase so at least we hit the bottom of the page? Simple. Anybody here do mathematics? It's that simple.
Okay, sir, let's
When
let
does
somebody
that
else-
happen?
Can we let someone else talk?
Sure. I
Thank you.
knew I wouldn't get an answer. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Let's give somebody else a chance then.
Bob Singer released a hit today.
Two things, one, and they're related to minimum wage. One, there was a time when student and adult minimum wage was different. Why don't we go back to that? If you have that many students who don't need to live on minimum wage, why don't we leave it for where it is for students? And why don't we increase it for adults who need it? I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, so let me, there actually still is a student minimum wage. It's not very often paid, is my understanding of that. So it exists, but it's not used infrequently.
Okay.
Yeah, typical politician.
The ministers are going to take a couple of minutes to speak, and as I said, we're going to close with a
Will I
song.
get an answer? Will I get an answer, or do I leave?
Let's let the ministers speak, and please, it's one thing to be critical. Can we please try to be civil and at least respectful?
I am civil. I just want to know, am I going to waste any more time, or am I going to get an answer or wait?
Can we please just try to stay civil and polite, if nothing else? Thank you.
Have I been rude?
I really want to start by thanking the speakers, particularly those from the Speakers Bureau who made enormously impactful presentations today. That is very, very difficult to do, and I have the deepest of respect for those who stood up and told their story, so thank you very, very much, and there you are. Thank you very, very much. I also need to say that I really want to speak if you don't mind. I really want to say that Hamilton rocks. Hamilton is an extraordinary city when it comes to poverty reduction. The poverty reduction strategy, the first time around, it was Hamilton who was leading the way, and you have continued to lead the way right across this province. And I want to say thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I know it doesn't always feel like it, but we've made tremendous progress. I'm going to just give you one little example of where collectively we've really changed the lives of people. When we were elected, Ted was there before I got there, but when we came into government in 2003, a single mom with a couple of kids working full-time on a minimum wage job had a total income of under $20,000. She would have been better off on social assistance, right? Yeah. Today, that same woman has a full-time minimum wage job, 2 little kids. She's got an income of almost $35,000. Her child is getting free dental care. Well, actually, she'd be above the threshold for Healthy Smiles. But as we move forward, what we're doing is we're taking step by step. I tell you, the easy thing for a politician to do is not be here. The easy thing to do is not listen. The easy thing to do is not pretend it's our responsibility to take action. It is our responsibility. We accept that responsibility. We are passionate about that responsibility. And we can't solve all the problems all at once, but we've made measurable progress on many fronts. We have just started. We have just started. And you bring me hope, and you bring me optimism that we will continue to keep moving forward. Part of our first poverty reduction strategy was a commitment to a new strategy every 5 years, no matter who was in office. We put that in legislation. We passed a law making government responsible for poverty reduction, and that's why we've got a new strategy. I want to speak, if I could, at the just to Laura. Is Laura still here? Yes. There you are. You broke my heart, Laura, because there's more in that strategy than I think you recognize. So I'm going to invite myself to talk to you more about what's in that strategy, because your voice is in there. And we are going to continue to make progress, and that people in Hamilton have had more of an impact in what we're doing on poverty reduction than you can imagine. So I want to say thank you for that. I want to promise that we are going to continue the work. It's not easy work, but we're going to continue to do it because we believe that everyone should have the opportunity to achieve their full potential. Thank you.
Well, I just thank you so much, everybody, for coming and sharing. This really is valuable. I mean, if we don't all do good jobs of telling our story, including cabinet ministers who have to carry the cane back at Queen's Park, and then we're not going to make progress. The first meeting I set up after Deb was elected, some here who are on the Poverty Task Force Maine, it was a meeting with Deb Matthews to get her up to speed about some of the issues here. And she's absolutely right. Hamilton has taken a tremendous leadership role here. You really have, and we have been listening to the people of Hamilton. This is my city. I was born and raised here. I love this place. You know, it's a great city that's going to be greater. We've some real challenges to handle, but I'm not going to do it alone. Deb's not going to do it alone. Nobody here is going to do it alone, Howard. We got to keep as many people engaged as we can. When I was Minister of Community Social Services, as you know, one of the first things I did was pull together a kitchen cabinet to meet with me periodically. We're doing the same thing on the housing front. Because when we hear the stories and we get the news, it makes it easier for us to tell our colleagues about it, right? And that's our commitment to you. That's why Deb and I have asked to chair the Committee on Homelessness. None of our political colleagues want us to do that, but we're going to do that because it's important that we take that seriously. Thank you all for your stories and for your time. Love you. Let's keep at it together.
We're going to end today with a song. So please, you want a microphone?
No.
Okay. Our singer.
This is for Peter Cormos. A gentleman was passing by. He stopped for a drink as he got dry. At the well below the valley, oh, green grows the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. Me cup was full up into the rim. If I were a stoop, I might fall in. Well below the valley, oh, green grows the lily, oh, down beyond the bushes, oh. He said, young maid, you're swearing wrong. For 6